It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right on the show today, is the world finally looking at India and chess differently? Nakamura, the world number 3, many years after starting his channel, finally added Indian standard timings to his schedules, saying, "Respect Gukesh." Has Gukesh's win tipped the scales? Is the world finally acknowledging India as chess's new powerhouse? Meanwhile, Vinicius Junior still hurt despite being awarded by FIFA as the best player of the year. Was this FIFA's way of trying to right a wrong? Should football relook at the award system entirely itself? And Pakistan extends a friendly hand to Saudi Arabia, promised their expertise and help. Is there an irony here? And what's brewing behind this friendly gesture by Pakistan? But first, let's take a look at the headlines. We'll start with cricket. ICC confirms hybrid model for the 2025 Champions Trophy. India's matches to be organized in a neutral venue. Hybrid model for all India-Pakistan hosted ICC events until 2027. That's confirmed by ICC. Starting with and continuing with cricket, Bangladesh secured a historic T20I series win against West Indies, beating them by 27 runs in the second match to take a 2-0 lead in the 3-match series, their first T20 international series win over West Indies in 6 years. Shameen Hussain was named the player of the match for his 35 off 17. Chasing 129, West Indies were bowled out for 102. Over in football on the Carabao Cup, Liverpool secured a 2-1 victory over Southampton in the quarter-final. Darwin Núñez and Harvey Elliott's goals helped Liverpool continue their 20-match unbeaten run. In another game, Arsenal secured a 3-2 win over Crystal Palace. Gabriel Jesus' hat-trick sealed Arsenal's spot in the semi-final. Over in Formula One, Sergio Perez and Red Bull have mutually agreed to end their partnership. This marks the end of his 4-year stint with the team. The decision comes after a disappointing 2024 season. Perez finished 8th in the Drivers' Championship, far off the runners-up that he finished the previous year. And summing up with news from athletics, World Athletics will provide AI protection from online abuse to 25 athletes. The athletes were identified as highly targeted for abuse during major events like the Olympics and World Championships. The initiative aims to address rising online harassment in track, field and road sports. Gukesh Dommaraju has set the year on fire, and what a whirlwind week it's been. Winning the title in the very last game to getting a hero's welcome in his hometown. A victory that really shook a whole country, but also has left aftershocks across the world. Everyone's taking note of the giant India is turning out to be. In a gesture to pay respect to Gukesh's win, chess world number 3 and popular streamer American Hikaru Nakamura added Indian standard timings to his streaming schedule. Adding India out of respect, he says. It's the first time Nakamura added Indian timings in his streaming schedules since he started this many years ago. Usually, Nakamura lists inside USA and European timings. But given the growing craze, the interests and yes, the talent that India is producing, this new addition was of course inevitable. Nakamura may term this as his way of showing respect to and acknowledging Gukesh's historic win, but he has capitalized on the opportunity of the growing fandom that chess has gained in the country. Nakamura is just another chess grandmaster who's finally sitting up and acknowledging a fact that India has been trying to shout for months now. Garry Kasparov, whose 4-decade-long record Gukesh shattered, also jumped in to weigh on India's rise.
Gukesh was well prepared, and the player who played the best won the match. His victory caps a phenomenal year for India. Combined with Olympiad dominance, chess has returned to its cradle and the era of Vichy's children is truly upon us.
Chess as a sport has come a long way in India, and the growing talent pool and success has meant a larger audience coming in, which is why the final was streamed across various platforms on YouTube. The Indian streaming platform had the highest viewership for the final game, with around 3.8 million people glued to the game. Coming in second was the USA streaming platform with a viewership of 1.4 million, and the lowest, surprisingly, was the official streaming link of FIDE itself, 640,000 people alone. Gukesh's final against Ding Liren was much hyped even before the tournament really began, way before Gukesh was crowned champion. And while Gukesh's win is extraordinary, there are a bunch of youngsters who have contributed to India shining on this front. The country already has Arjun Erigesi, who has proved his merit by surpassing 2,800 ELO rating points. R. Pragyananda was the finalist in the World Cup this last year and was part of the team that won the Chess Olympiad gold this year. The women's team too is establishing itself as a powerhouse. The Chess Olympiad gold testament to that. Senior campaigners like Harika Dronavelli, Tanya Sachdev and young stars like R. Vaishali, Divya Deshmukh and Vanita Agarwal are proving their merit on the big stage. The world is bound to look at India differently because now the founder of the sport seems to have finally found their feet again.
The Olympiad, I think for India, it did a lot of things because the people's perspective towards our nation changed because of the win. Many people in the years were speaking, oh, India is an emerging superpower, in chess, like they are the next big things. And that question was answered that no, they are not the next big thing. They are the thing now. They are the dominant players in this sport.
And the year proved that there is nothing like too much success for them. Vishwanathan Anand rightfully called this bunch the golden generation. To think that at one stage India boasted of just one who could battle against the world. Now there's an army with many more waiting in the wings to erupt onto the world stage. And leading this brigade is the youngest of them all, 18-year-old, and is beginning his journey.
And of course, for the next year, I will be playing a lot of tournaments, and my goal is to now become the best player in the world. It has always been the case, and I think it continues to be. And looking forward to continue. Resuming all the work and all the efforts.
There is a quiet sense of ambition, there is pride, but what Gukesh really embodies is probably what you will see most Indian chess youngsters either trying to emulate or already imbibing. The sense of humility, something they saw in the chess great who led the way, their own Vichy sir. And that is really why India, as a superpower, sits right. They dominate, but with a sense of modesty.
He will inspire millions of kids around the globe, especially in India. He will be the best chess ambassador ever. He is young, professional, friendly, mature, humble, classy, respectful, charismatic, well-dressed, well-spoken, and well-mannered.
Now, I want to end with Gukesh. He's the complete package the chess world needs, a face that can inspire generations to come. Like what Magnus Carlsen did for the sport across the globe, Gukesh can do the same and probably go one better because there is that added charm to it, the teenage charm. A cocktail of qualities that is bound to make the world sit up and notice and, more importantly, start acknowledging. I'm certain many of you are wondering, hey, where's the Champions Trophy schedule? What are the dates? Where and when are the matches? There was so much movement, heavy negotiations and talks, a bit of a silence, but now ICC, of course, has confirmed that the Champions Trophy will go ahead with that hybrid model, something we'd indicated weeks ago. And in the middle of this battle that PCB seems to have lost, the chief Mohsin Naqvi, who is also Pakistan's interior minister, is busy trying to build ties with Saudi Arabia. No, that's not the punchline. Pakistan has extended their support to Saudi Arabia in promoting cricket and building cricket stadiums. I get the promoting cricket part. Pakistan has a massive fan base. Even though their cricket team goes through a transition phase every few months, cricket and the passion for the sport will never leave the country. But did I hear Pakistan will extend their support in helping Saudi Arabia construct cricket stadiums? This was one of Pakistan's cricket stadiums. That's how it looked earlier this year, Rawalpindi, where rains came down hard and hampered the entire match between Pakistan and New Zealand. The infrastructure was in a shambolic state that fans even couldn't sit there. Along with the pitch and the outfield, the stands too were damp and waterlogged. And ICC is currently helping them refurbish and renovate this venue and a couple of others to get it ready in time for the Champions Trophy. And then there is the cash-rich Saudi Arabia, who just won the bid to host FIFA 2034 World Cup and are planning to construct stadiums like this. One will have rock formations divided by canyons. One will have crystalline structures that will go rising towards the air. One will be on a cliff with retractable LED walls. One will have fin-like structures topped with a transparent roof. I could go on because there are many more stadiums lined up. But these stunning futuristic stadiums is what Saudi Arabia is going to offer to sporting fans come the Football World Cup. Yes, Saudi Arabia is just about entering cricket. Yes, they're young in this sport. It's not a sport that is primary to their culture yet, but they understand sport. They understand the finances of sports and they know how to create infrastructure befitting any discipline. BCCI, in fact, held the IPL auctions in Jeddah, and that auction venue looked like this. The PCB chief met with Saudi Arabia Cricket Federation chairman, Prince Saeed bin Mishal Al Saud, and has invited him to watch the Champions Trophy matches in Pakistan. Of course, the matches that will not have India. PCB will just have to circle back, of course, to them to give them the exact dates. That's not announced just yet. And PCB has proposed a cricket exchange program as well. They've asked Riyadh to send their budding cricketers over to Pakistan to train there.
Pakistan and Saudi Arabia share a strong bond, and we are ready to extend all possible support to strengthen cricket in Saudi Arabia. We look forward to welcoming Saudi players to Pakistan for training and development opportunities. We are happy to collaborate on cricket development and infrastructure.
Yes, it all sounds very promising, but where's the infrastructure for all of this? Saudi Arabia, too, seems to have shown its eagerness in forging this relationship, which the world, I'm sure, will have a keen eye on. Because Saudi is making rapid strides in the world of sport. They made inroads into the international football scene with the Saudi Pro League roping in the biggest player, the face of football, Cristiano Ronaldo. They managed to buy out the rights to host the WTA season-ending finals. Tennis is big in Saudi Arabia. They've Rafael Nadal as one of their ambassadors, and recently also hosted an exhibition series with all of their top stars. They started hosting a Formula One race just some years ago. Cricket has now stepped into the country with the IPL auctions, as I mentioned, and a World Cup is coming home after a decade. So any partnership they forge will be one that has to be carefully monitored and watched closely. And this one in particular, because Pakistan is currently on a slippery slope themselves. Regarding cricket, they are trying to rebuild their own image as a country that is safe to play cricket in again. They know that a lot of curating that image relies on how successful ICC Champions Trophy will prove to be. Because the world will watch this showcase. Pakistan hosting an ICC event for the first time in nearly 2 decades. So keeping that in mind, this is definitely a bold move by Pakistan, extending their friendship and support to a country that is slowly gaining momentum as the sporting hub of the world. A country that Pakistan couldn't convince the ICC of getting India to travel for the Champions Trophy knows it needs allies, strong allies around them who can get behind them in their own sporting ambitions when time comes. They know that bridge with India has been burnt. There was, and the tense geopolitical ties, of course, doing nothing in that regard. So getting Saudi to be that rubber stamp is indeed smart thinking. But what will Saudi get in return is the question. Any deal has to have benefits, and cricketing ground for training and some cricketing acumen that has been earned over the generations before may not quite cut it. We're of course approaching the end of another year, and as is norm, there are awards to be given away, players to be recognized. FIFA's best players were crowned in a glittering ceremony in Qatar's Doha. Barcelona's Aitana Bonmati, who won the Women's Ballon d'Or earlier this year, was crowned the Women's FIFA Player of the Year too. But the actual drama was over in the men's category. Manchester City star and Ballon d'Or winner Rodri finished second, and it was Ballon d'Or runners-up Vinicius who ended up clinching the title by a margin of 5 points. After the controversial Ballon d'Or awards, this award that FIFA has bestowed upon Vinicius may have been the balm, but was that enough? Clearly not.
Today I write to the child who has seen so many idols lift that trophy. His time has come. Or rather, my time has come. They have tried and tried to invalidate me, to diminish me, but they are not ready.
So why this anger still? For those unaware, during the Ballon d'Or ceremony, the world, particularly Real Madrid and Vinicius, thought the Ballon d'Or trophy was going to go to the Brazilian forward. But a night before the awards, the list somehow leaked out, and it was confirmed that Vinicius in fact was not going to be awarded the Ballon d'Or. Rodri was going to take it home instead. Real Madrid and Vinicius took that to heart, and the entire club ended up boycotting the ceremony altogether. Their president even questioned the voting pattern in place.
Personally, I think the Ballon d'Or should be organized independently, and the votes should be in the hands of well-known, prestigious people with a reputation in the football world. Some didn't even include Vinicius in the top 10. Can anyone understand journalists not thinking Vinicius is one of the best in the world?
Now, I understand that the player of the most recognized club not getting the prestigious trophy is bound to irk them. But Perez here made one valid point. The person who helped Real Madrid win the La Liga title, Champions Trophy, and scored 40 goals across all competitions in one season, not even making it to the top 10 of some of the voters' lists, has to be shocking. The reason why top journalists from 100 nations vote for the Ballon d'Or awards is to avoid any personal biases that can creep in. Had Vinicius even been part of some of those top 10 lists, the Brazilian may have gotten on to clinch that title. So was this the best award? Was this award FIFA's way to cheer up Real Madrid and Vinicius? Well, not really. Just like the Ballon d'Or voting choices, and then you've got the coaches and players, the journalists, voting process has been questioned in the recent past. Another reason for this disgruntlement, of course, is that the recent years have seen different winners across for both these titles. It was all pretty much same until 2019, pre-COVID era, the same Ballon d'Or winners and the same FIFA Best Player of the Year too. But post-COVID, like how the world's perspectives changed, so did the perspective of these awards. In the last 4 years, only once have we seen the Ballon d'Or and FIFA awarding the top honors to the same player, and it was a no-brainer there, World Cup year, Lionel Messi. Which raises the question, how can the best player in the same sport, in the same category, be different across two awards, recognizing the best of the year? Ballon d'Or holds a more prestigious place, yes, given it came into existence more than 50 years before FIFA awards. But that also puts more responsibility on the organizers. That makes people applaud their decisions rather than raise their eyebrows. Of course, fans of certain popular players will always be in disagreement, but never has a whole club boycotted an event and questioned the credibility of the award itself. Because the one most affected was a player who battled all sorts of adversities. Sure, he comes from a nation of champions, but currently football in Brazil is in shambles, and Vinicius' rise has been their only silver lining. All those comments that you just saw, they're really reiterating what we've been trying to say here. And what makes Vinicius Junior's win even more interesting is the fact that the player not only battled the adverse circumstances that football in his country was hit with, but also had the most horrid year, facing racism in Madrid. And look, I'm not saying he should be awarded just for fighting through these challenges. Challenges are a norm. I'm saying he deserved the award for being the best despite the odds that were stacked up against him, all in one season. And maybe this case of Vinicius Junior has to make people wonder if the system of these awards need to change. What do you think? Time for last serve. Cricket Australia is promoting the highly anticipated, eagerly awaited Women's Ashes series in a unique way. They did something cool to promote the pink ball test. Take a look. That wraps it up here on Firstpost. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.